Mike Delson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley, Jim Molitaire, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Brunette.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Cheateeth,
Here.
Lenny Strahan.
Thank you, Jen. Tom, would you start us prayer, please?
I'd be honored. I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for all the gifts you've given us. I thank you for our family, our friends, our community. I want to thank you for the health that we have. We want to pray for those that have lost loved ones. We want to pray for those that are ill to become well quickly. We want to pray for good thoughts today and good decisions. We want to pray for those that don't have a home or missing a meal. Those that are struggling, that they can find the resources that we can enable them to be successful. We do all these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Tom. We have minutes from June 3rd. Motion by Len to approve the meeting minutes from June 3rd with corrections. Second by Tom. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I've got 6, 4, and Martin abstains, Bing abstains, and I abstain. Motion carries. We have an agenda for today. Additions to the agenda. We have 3 walk-ins. Tom?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to notify that I have to step out at just before 10 to attend a AJC governance body meeting, but I'll come back in as quickly as I can.
Any other? 2 trip reports. Probably try to get those at the end of the day. I have a little trip report myself, so. I'd entertain a motion on the agenda. Motion by Len to approve the agenda with additions. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. We'll start with our walk-ins. Mary, good morning. Come on up. Well, welcome. We'll need you to turn your microphone on.
Can I stand? I feel better standing.
As long as we get you recorded, that'll work.
Okay, so I have an issue with tribal court, but I want to tell you a brief story that brings me to this story. Years ago, when I was working at SKC, I live in Big Arm. I was driving to work. I was atop of South Hill, and I got pulled over by a highway patrolman. And he said, "You're getting a speeding ticket." And I said, "Well, okay." And he said, "Where do you work?" I said, "Salish Kootenai College." And he asked me if I was tribal, and I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay." Went and wrote me the ticket, brought it back to my car. He told me to take it to tribal court and pay for it. Okay, so I did. The next day I went to tribal court, and the gal tribal court said, "Oh, we don't have any record of this," but she said it's still could come in. So she took my money, wrote me a receipt. I kept it. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from Lake County saying there was a warrant for my arrest because I would failure to appear at court. That floored me. So thank goodness I still had my receipt. I went to Lake County. I showed it to him. The gal went back behind the counter, shoveled some papers, came back and said, "Oh, the officer just turned it into the wrong office." Oh, well, meanwhile, if I'd have been up to any shenanigans, I would have gone to jail and been there until Monday at my own cost. So that's leading up to this story. So in April, I was called for jury duty for tribal court. I filled out my paperwork. I brought it to tribal court. I brought it there and I said, "Unfortunately, I cannot do this one particular date." And that was the date that they really needed a quorum of people. I spoke to the bailiff, very nice man. I just said, "I'm sorry, I've got a community event. I work for Tribal Health Dental. I'm a community outreach coordinator, and there's a big event going on that day, and I just can't make it." And the gal at the counter said, "Well, okay." So I took it as, okay, nothing more. I got a phone call Tuesday morning from one of my friends saying I was on the court docket for criminal charges. What? I have no clue what was going on. So I called the court and they said, "Oh yeah, it was because you didn't show up for jury duty." And I said, "No, I turned my paper in. The gal accepted it." And they said, "Well, only a judge can determine if you're getting off jury duty." And I'm like, "Well, I never got any information, nothing. And now all of a sudden I'm going to court and I don't even know about it." And she said, "Well, let me transfer you to somebody else." So I spoke to another person, and I'm not looking to jam anybody up. I just want this to be heard so I can get it out there that I'm not a criminal. So anyway, I got switched to another gal and she said, "Okay, well, let me talk to somebody else and they'll call you back." And I waited and no one called me back. So I called again and she said, "Okay, here's your options. You can pay a $200 fine or do August jury duty." And what? So I said, "I'll do August jury duty." But to me, it's just like, I want to go on record that I am not a criminal. I did nothing wrong. I know that debacles happen. So that's my story. Yeah,
So you're on August jury duty.
I guess so. But I have a lot of community events in August as well. So anyway, I just wanted that to be known. I want to go on record so that it's, I work with a lot of our people who are low resources. And they go, "Oh, well, yeah, Mary's a criminal too now." Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there must be a new system or something that they're now working with because this is like the third report. I've got somebody from Mission Valley Power, somebody that is taking care of their elderly mom and needed off, and now your situation. So it must be a new system where they're actually doing something that they should have been doing a long time ago. I'm thinking anyway.
Yeah. And I got
Wait, let me finish. I would suggest that, if you can get a chance to if you can talk to the judge, I would show up for court and just explain it. And I think there's, if you told the clerk, she should have wrote it down. She should have given you something. I guess I would never leave the court now in this situation without something in hand saying, yeah, I'm released or not. But yes,
Yeah.
it's right. The judge, only the judge can do that.
Yes, I get that. Okay. I understand. Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a good day. And thank you all for
Mary.
the
Mary,
jobs that you do. It's appreciated.
good to see you, Mary.
Thank you. Good to see you
Thanks,
all.
Mary.
Come
Mr.
on
Chair.
up.
Mr. Chair, real quick housekeeping.
Go ahead.
I pulled the wrong minutes where I thought I was gone, so I changed my abstention to in favor.
Okay. Did you get that, Abby?
Yep, thank you.
Morning. We need the microphone turned on. There you go.
Morning, Council. I'm Archie Fuquay, tribal member. I'm here to request a waiver of your burning closure that you did, last week before? We've got a house on a piece of tribal property that we've had hazmated, got all prepared to burn. We've got it smashed down into the basement as much as we can. And I need to burn it. My daughter's got a home site lease there and she wants to live on that house footprint. That's the only suitable place on that lease to put a house. We've talked to Polson Rural Fire, we've talked to fire control. And of course, we would want to wait to a rainy, cold day before we did it and coordinate with fire control and get their approval to burn it. And we've got water standing by, we've got irrigation pumps and fire trailers with water and can keep it safe. Rural Fire said they'll stand by and keep it safe if we can get approval to burn it. You surprised us with that quick closure on burning. We were planning on getting that taken care of before that happened. So,
Thoughts, Carol?
I'll make a motion if they do it immediately, with the weather situation. Unless, Devlin, do you have any issues?
CT went and did a home assessment on it and they got 50 feet boundary all the way around it and with the water and everything, and we got rain, so I think we're fine with it, he said.
Motion by Carol, Tom, second by Tom. Any other discussion? Martin?
I mean, the motion was immediately, so I think we gotta have it be at his discretion. Or are you trying to do it today or?
well, we'll coordinate with fire control, whatever they want to do, that's what we'll do. And we want Polson Rural Fire to be available and on site. So we'd have to coordinate with a few people. I think today's a little quick. We'd wait for a good long-term rain, cold weather.
Would you make that amendment, Carol?
No, of course.
Well, and then for the Division of Fire, just look on the outlook, there's not gonna be a lot more rain. We're gonna be busy, so I think for our part of it, we're not gonna be able to go sit there.
Right.
But we'll be available if, in the worst case scenario, something did happen, obviously we'd respond. But
I believe sooner the better, it's true.
That was my thought, because it's not.
What's your location?
We're out on Mine Singer, surrounded by irrigated farmland. So we're quite a ways away from any forest.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of your preparation and it looks really good.
Well, we tried to do the best we can, but it's still a big pile of wood.
It is. Any other discussion? We got a motion by Carol with a second by Tom. All in favor of the waiver? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Get it done. Good job.
thank you, guys.
Sure. And thank you for coming in and actually asking and instead of just doing it, because a lot of people I still see people burning.
Well, I didn't want to get put in jail.
Jennifer?
Can we go into executive for the next walk-in?
We will go out of regular into executive. Go ahead, Carol.
I'll make a motion that do we still need to waive? Waive the policy according to what Holly had mentioned, and then make zero rent due to the circumstances, the condition, special circumstance.
Headed for the land exchange.
Yeah.
Second by James. A motion by Carol, second by James. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you for coming in, ladies.
Thank you. We'll continue to work on that and I'll be bringing in an update soon. Thanks.
I think Daniel's
Really good
idea
to
of
see you.
30 days.
I haven't seen you.
Can we get it in 30 days?
14 days.
You're negotiating down.
Yeah.
Jennifer, what? We will go out of regular, back into exec. Yes, we do. Motion by Carol that we seek deviation and let the experts figure out what that is. Second by James. All in favor? We're unanimous with Tom out of the room. Jordan, you want that back in executive?
Really quick, because before that, I got one more with Ryan. So-
Okay. We'll go out of regular, back into executive. Carol?
I'll make a motion that we proceed with the plan and Morrison Merrily.
Motion by Carol to go forward with the contract with Morrison Merrily for the new Bison Range entrance. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? Unanimous, Tom out of the room. Thank you, Tony, Rich. We
You guys
got
have
a
a break until 11.
break until 11.
Looking for approval for task order 210. This is some improvements on the retreat. The post office concrete replacement, which we're getting pretty close to getting that whole thing done. And the Hot Springs Senior Center's a little bit of cleanup and regrouting and painting on that one. The retreat, we're looking for some lights in the parking lot, garden fence, curb and sidewalk. It's basically the occupants can't get outside because it's just ground. That parking lot's terrible right now, so we're working on that also. Anyway, we're the task order 210 in the value of 137,787. And we're just looking for approval or disapproval.
Question? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you. So as I read here, you're just gonna do the front of the senior center in Hot Springs? Is that what that's telling me?
And the sides.
Okay, so you'll be doing the whole building?
Yep.
Okay,
Motion by Martin to approve task order 210. Second by James. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead, Lynn.
In regards to the records management, what exactly are we doing with that?
Nothing now.
Okay, I just seen it with part of the contract, so.
I think it was just, might have been a copy paste issue. There was nothing going on out there. Wasn't an agenda requested.
Oh, did it? No, yeah, there was nothing on that. And now, task order 134, attachment A. This is, 134 was one of the ARPA task orders that we, assigned last December. And we just haven't quite split it up yet. Greg, give us a go ahead. So we have, several task areas, siding replacement, little HVAC and some doors and windows in various locations, and bat abatement and preservation of the boathouse out there. Restaining, chinking, that kind of stuff. And so this is the initial contract was, or the initial task order contract was 2.5 million. This attachment is 637,851.
Questions? Motion by Martin to approve task order 134, attachment A. Second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott is on Zoom.
Yeah, come on up. Quick.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, Chad. Morning, Scott. Come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of council. Sorry I can't be there in person today. I'll start with today. I'll give you a quick background of where we're at. The previous long-range transportation plan was originally done in 2007, and it went to 2027. It was a 20-year plan, and it was updated several times. The last time it was updated was 2019. And now the BIA requires a full update and not revisions. So there won't be a whole bunch of attachments to a 20-year-old document, though they'll require a new full update every time we do a revision. Now that we have had Red Plains Inc. do the Red Plains Professional do this update that you see before you, all the future revisions to the long range transportation plan and the national transportation or tribal transportation facility inventory, the NTTFI, that can be done easily by me and the transportation planning committee as council wishes. So today I'm asking for support of a resolution in support of this 2025 update to the National Tribal Transportation Facility Inventory and the Long Range Transportation Plan.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by James to approve the resolution for transportation. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Thank you, Tribal Council.
Glenn.
Scott, just a quick comment here.
Yes.
Yesterday at the elders meeting, we brought up the issue of removing BIA roads from the inventory. The BIA road in Hog Heaven and the BIA road that traverses through the urban management area. So they were asking about exactly where we were in that process. And now, is this something that you need to get further council approval to move forward with this?
Yeah, I need to get the actual links of the road specifically that we wanted to take off there. I have it draft form, and I just need to prepare it in a way that can be presented to BIA and tribal council. And it shouldn't take long. We can do a update to this plan, even say next month.
Okay. This is something I know that they wanted to try to expedite, and here's the reason why. There is a company out of Nirata that rents ATVs and four-wheelers, et cetera, et cetera. And they've been utilizing both management areas and telling their clients that these roadways that go through these are open to the public, which they are. But it's one of those. It's just one of those issues where this company continues to do this and profit off of it. And I know the elders have brought this up on a couple different occasions, and one of the solutions was to close these particular roadways. And so, if we can expedite that process, Scott, and try to get something into the BIA acknowledging that these roads will be removed. I'm not sure if we need to ask them for permission or we just inform them that we will be taking these roads off the inventory and therefore will no longer need to be paid for those roads to be maintained, because they brought up a good point in regards to maintenance. Although the tribes receive a considerable amount of funding to maintain these roads ain't maintained. They're not maintained unless there's a fire and or a timber sale. Then the roads will get worked on. But between then, nothing happens. And we collect funding for the roads, and there's no work. So that's one of the reasons why they wanted to try to remove these roads as soon as possible. So just wanted to bring that up, Scott. If you can keep that on your priority list, get done, and perhaps by the next elders meeting, if you can get on their agenda and give them an update.
Yes, that sounds good. I'll do that.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Yep,
James.
thank you.
Scott, who's your bodyguard in the back there?
Yeah, that's my big boy.
Anything else for Scott? Danielle?
Scott, sorry to be a thorn in your side. Just curious if the roads for agency went out for bid.
Not yet. They're listed on this list because they somehow didn't get on the previous time, the 2019. So now that this is passed, we can get that out to bid.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, guys. Too bad. Greg. Ian. We're looking for a Sadie Fisher now. Is that Tara? Sadie. So you're handling the commercial lease? Guess while we're waiting, I did see that last Tuesday there was a lands issue brought in for an easement for Bennett Holland. That the easement on Camas Prairie, and it died without a second. I was hoping that this easement would be passed, and the Holland family's been friends for the tribe for quite a while. Bennett has his property, and they're going to build a house no matter what. And he's a descendant, and the road is already there. And they actually trade service with tribal members on their property, and already have, the family does have some right to cross this road. And he was just trying to get it attached to his ability to build his house. So I'd love to see that easement actually passed. According to I think it was a revocable permit for a year and then a 25-year at the market rate. Love to see that passed. I know Martin gave the original motion on it. I would hope that we could revisit that and get this young man back on the prairie. He's a descendant of Prairie Kalispel, Kalis Bay people. Okay, Sadie, you're up.
Good morning. I am bringing a commercial permit for the Flathead Rafting Company. Previously, they were approved for a commercial fishing license, or not fishing license, excuse me. They're to operate their company on the reservation, and their permit previously was for 3 years. So I am just requesting that we renew their permit, and this time for another 5 years.
Questions about the draft company permit?
What kind of rental do they pay to the tribes?
Microphone.
Jeez, look at me, rookie of the year. No, when I bring this in, we're gonna be requesting a revocable permit. We had a revocable permit on them last year, because we knew that this was gonna expire, this coming year. So with whatever it is recommended with this, we'd go with, if it's a 5 year that you guys are recommending, it would be with us as well. But they pay $500, requesting that. But during the months of June through August, they increase their payment to $1,560. So every year they'll pay $500 until the summer, and it'll increase. And that's due to more parking, and they have their buses and stuff that are parked along the edges, and kind of takes up a lot of our commercial space. So we asked that we'd raise that up.
So there's just another question, just trying to get an understanding there. So there's two approval processes where we're approving their commercial permit to operate, and then we have to do a lease for their business to operate on where it's at.
Yeah, the permit is just to basically do the business, and they couldn't locate that from anywhere on the res then if they had the ability to. And then they rent from us as their location.
Yes, thank you.
Question about the permit. Are we authorizing another 5 years? Is that a motion? Motion by Len to approve the 5-year permit.
We're gonna make them put political signs on their property, on our property, I mean.
I can put that in their lease, but it'd have to be tribal. Yeah, I can definitely add that.
Is that a second? second by Martin to go forward with the 5-year permit. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to take the yellow highlight off the contract. We'll get Janelle Calawat to sign, and then we'll bring it down for final council signature, if that's okay with you.
Sounds right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Whisper. Thank you, Sadie. Oh, they left. Oh, there she is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to squeeze in and then I'm on page 81 to get mine approved as well, hopefully. So mine, once again, is the revocable permit aspect. We would recommend, since this is a 5-year, you guys passed a 5-year, our first recommendation was a 2-year revocable permit. But if we're going with maybe staying in the lines of sticking with the conservation permit, if we could do a 5-year business lease. And this would be the 5-year business lease, and then it would include a $500 payment each month with the $1,560 during the peak season. Also, I would also recommend if every year we do a CPI adjustment, so that way we could make sure that we're getting the appropriate funds or rental for compensation.
Pardon?
So the other, I guess the other side of that parking lot, you're still leasing that out to, looks like Fire to Terrace. Is that affecting their business at all, like parking or either way? I know you're saying extra parking, but.
So that's why during the peak season, we won't rent that commercial spot out. And so that's where that extra rental will come into play. So just because it overflows with parking and the boats, so it's really congested, especially off the highway anyway, for a lot of our commercial spots. Like I said, I'm going to be meeting today with Polson City to talk about the vendor location up top in Polson on 1914B. Hopefully we can kind of work together and start pushing forward for that, because they're feeling that congestion too off the highway and in other places in Polson. So I meet with them today at 3.
Have Polson City put some more crosswalks. I almost saw some guy get hit running across from the raft company to Super One the other day.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
I couldn't believe
And that might be, yeah, I can definitely actually talk about certain things like that. So thank you.
James?
Mr. Chairman, I approve, motion to approve option 1.
I guess the option 1 was requested by Tara to be adjusted to a 5-year. Is that part of your motion?
Yeah, that's part of my motion.
I guess the question I have is, did they request that?
Okay, do you want me to, I could even put an option 4. So I could say option 4 with the approval of a 5-year business lease with the payment of rental of $500 per month and a payment of $1,560 during the peak season, with additional after year 2 CPI adjustment yearly after that, with required insurance and a $5,000 bond.
So I'll change it to option 4. Motion for option 4.
Yay, all right, thanks you guys. Thanks for letting me merge in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is another deal. I had a request from an individual to get his horses off of some land up there in the Big Draw area. He's got 4 horses up there, and they've been up there most of the, I guess from last winter through the spring, and he finally located them up there. And when he went to get them out, there was a sign out there that says tribal members only. So I didn't know whether or not, if he was asking if he's able to go up there and get his horses out of there, just so he could go on the land, so he can get the animals out. So I didn't know whether or not that I told him I'd ask you guys, but he should come in and talk to you guys and get that approval and
Yeah.
get the approval from council to go ahead and let him go ahead and get them animals out of there.
Yeah, if you can have him contact us, that way we can find out the location of where his horses are located and find out, you know, the area, if it's tribal, if it's not, where the signs are, and that way we can help him as best we can.
I believe that parcel belongs to ooh. Jerry Claremont has a parcel right next to it. I think that what was the
Orsino?
Orsino Walker has that now, I believe.
If you can send the individual our way, that way we can get the contact information and see what we can do to help him out as best we can. That way we can bring you guys with an update. Do you know when where he might be in or? Okay, perfect. I'll let them know. I'll let Rachel, because usually we're closed on Fridays, but a lot of times she will be here. I will be here, but if if I need to have Rachel or somebody be here, I can let them know. So that way, if that's his only time to come in. Okay, Monday. All right, thanks.
Quick, tribal elder Mikey Kenmill, approached me yesterday. He's been, having problems keeping cows out of his lease. So he wants to fence his yard and, but he needs the boundaries. If somebody could come over and stake his boundaries. He said he'd do all the fencing, but he just needs to know exactly where the property lines are.
Yeah, I'll talk with Willie and see if we can't get somebody out there right away and fence it all, or not fence it out, but mark it off.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Tara.
All right, have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Tara. Jennifer?
Can we go into executive for legal update?
We will go out of regular into executive. Motion by Carol to reappoint the two positions that we only got the single applications for SKC board and for business services board. Second by Martin. All in favor? Anybody opposed? I got 8-4 and Len is opposed. Motion carries. And let's take 10 minutes. 10-minute break. Yeah, I think we're ready. Yep, per capita. Lawrence. Good afternoon, Lawrence. Come on up. Oh, garden here. Make it happy. Turn on your microphone, please.
Here to present a resolution for the distribution of a per capita payment for August 6th. And the template of our normal operations for a resolution and the cutoff date for the per capita distribution will be July 17th, which is gives still everybody 2.5 weeks to put in all their information that they need from the per capitas, the tribal credit, tribal court, and all the other departments.
Yep. Motion by Carol to approve the August distribution. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. Martin out of the room. James.
Yeah, I had a request that we bump up the per capita payment, so I'm bringing that up. I mentioned it, and I guess there is a request. I guess it's happening next year. There's an increase. Is that what I'm understanding?
Budget.
It's in the budget, Ruth. Stemas boost. Currently proposed. So I had a tribal member talk to me real need to increase it with everything going up in price, so.
Yeah, one other information, we'll be doing the total distribution, I guess. From the next one on, accounting is gonna make us, or giving us back the printing of the checks and all of that, so it's all coming out of one department, instead of us sending them to accounting and accounting sending them back to us, it'll all be with us.
Anything else for Lawrence?
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lawrence, real quick, so the cutoff, they have to change their address on or before that date, right? Okay, thank you.
Can we go into it? Can we go into executive? I have Tony and Lips come on for the update.
We will go out of regular into executive for an update. Afternoon, Ruth. Patty.
Great. Shall we start with? I don't have, all I had was the agenda request on the food sovereignty one. There's no resolution. Because we don't need one.
It's right here. Is that on your guys' screen?
Yeah, this is the FA. And then,
I know, but you need to scroll. I put all your.
oh, I see. Thank you. I don't come in here enough to just. Okay, but in your packet is on your agenda request, or on my agenda request is the request regarding food sovereignty. Yeah, that's what I'll just start with, because that's the more straightforward. So just never mind what's on the screen right now. So food sovereignty had been funded by Headwaters in a grant-like arrangement. It's not a federal award. It's not, something as the typical grant award. But they had been continuing their activities through the end of March when they were believing they would get a new award. Headwaters then entered into this multi-year distribution that they would make to the tribes in an unrestricted fashion. So we're just treating it as though, funding has become available to the tribe, and that requires you to approve appropriation of the funds. So their proposal is to pick up their program from the time it had theoretically ended or no longer had their award available, the end of March, to carry them through the rest of this fiscal year at the current operating level. They now have 8 employees currently. Most are full-time, except I think they have 1 part-time. And then some operating expenses. They also have a couple of grants, one that's going to end the end of the fiscal year. I understand it's not going to renew. It's the USDA program that they were able to purchase food and do the distribution of boxes. So to our knowledge, that is not going to continue after September 30. So the request is then to fund the program for the $250,000 estimated budget, and that'll keep them on through 9/30 of this year.
Carol, go ahead.
I'm curious, how many gardens do they have going, do you know? I know when we were down in the Dixon cutoff and they were living in the house up above. We thought, they're gonna put a garden in there. I hadn't seen anything.
So from what we could discern from their work plan, it appears they have one at Kicking Horse and another one down by the community center in St. Ignatius. And those are the only 2 that I'm aware of.
No Arlie.
Arlie, that's not theirs directly. Maybe they collaborate, but that was just sort of mentioned in their work plan that they do have that activity that they undertake.
Thank you.
Mhm. In Mission. Yeah, at times there's another program that is called a food sovereignty program that is a kind of a private endeavor. I'm not sure if they collaborate with that. But you'll also know that, so of the 600,000 awarded, this is the intended appropriation from that particular fund. See, you know, in general fund, we cannot create or fund a program unless there is the funding. So that is that request.
Motion by Carol to go forward the 250,000 to food sovereignty out of the, what fund is it? The
The Headwaters
Headwaters.
distribution that came in April.
Tom, go ahead.
The $600,000 from Headwaters, is that for 3 years of funding or no term?
My understanding is that's the first of the next 3 years that they intend to distribute. So 600,000 a year for the next 3 years.
600,000 a year, okay. Yeah.
Martin, second by Martin. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
All right, thank you.
James?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Ruth, since we don't have a BIA superintendent, do we get to compact that position and take over that budget? And if there, anyway, I'm just being sarcastic.
Where is that guy? Patricia says that he's in Ireland.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh, we'll start off. I know I skipping around here. So it's time to do our renewal of our funding agreements for Indian Health Service and BIA. We've been on a 5-year agreement path since 2011. So this is our 4th 5-year agreement. When the first years I came into self-governance, we were doing this annually, and just going through with Indian Health alone was good. I can't do this every single year. Those are difficult years, difficult times. We were wrestling with contract health services funding that was inadequate. And as you all would recall, we had to give the program back after we operated it for 12 years. And IHS ran it, and then we took it back again in 2016. So thankfully, I think those hard times are a little bit behind us, except for what we are dealing with right now, but that's another story. So the funding agreements are largely unchanged. They're very general provisions, you know, so we don't get into real specific things on these. This agreement has been in this format for, gosh, at least 15 years. We only amend if we're required to because of changes in either self-determination or the regulations. So it's simply saying we're going to enter into the 5-year agreement. We are performing all of those activities, the various areas of services in healthcare, and then moving on to amounts available. Because of the multi-year agreement, we do an annual review or acceptance of what is available. To use the term negotiated is kind of not a very accurate term. There's no negotiation really, except if we were taking a new program or activity, or if we were letting go of one, or there was other things that require us to actually agree with the agency on what was to be funded. So basically, we're going to look at the recurring current year, and the big contingency of all is what did the Congress appropriate and make available? So we could have numbers on the paper, but if the congressional appropriation requires that to change, then we are bound to do that. So it goes on through, just going to really go quickly through this part. It does require signature by the tribe, so we asked Mr. Chairman to do that. The same with BIA, kind of a similar format, skipping to that one. Again, it's a 5-year agreement. I guess I should back up and say that in both cases, we can continue on operating all the programs without a signed successor agreement, but we won't get funding appropriated to us until we have a signed agreement. So our aim is to always have it in place before the next fiscal year. And Lord willing, there will be an appropriated budget and they will actually be able to transmit the funds to us as soon as they reasonably can. Again, in very general provisions in what we're operating, government services, human services, public safety and justice, and so on. BIA has 100 programs in it now, give or take. So, this is just our way of consolidating what those are about. We also have special programs of a kind of a special non-recurring nature, like the ones that are listed there. I'm gonna clean up those little things that are going on there. If anything was retained by the BIA, also in IHS, we do have some retained services on IHS's side, where we're agreeing to let them keep a portion of the funds and do their part on that rather than us taking it and doing it ourselves. It's fairly minimal. Just like with IHS, it's going to depend on what the Congress appropriates. Further provisions. It goes into a bit about trust records. It goes into a bit about access to trust systems, any reporting. And again, that would be signed by the chair. And once we finalize, and then you adopt resolutions to do each one of those. So the action today is to request your approval of the resolution that says we've negotiated the next year's agreement and want to forward on to the respective offices of self-governance for their final approval. Again, the funding, did I mess that up? Those started with that, sorry. And again, estimated funding based on the current year, which is the best we can do. This first one is BIA. And the total base, the far right column there, the 6.6 million. And then this is the IHS one, 27.3 million currently funded. Sorry for going so quickly, but if you have any questions, be happy to answer.
We need a motion for BIA and one for tribal health.
Each resolution, yes.
Yeah, so which one you want to do, Tom? Motion by Tom to approve the multi-year BIA agreement and resolution. Second by Bing, all in favor? Unanimous? Now I need tribal health. Motion by James to approve Title V, multi-year funding agreement and resolution. Second by Carol. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Patty.
You.
Bing.
Whoop, just kidding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Say, Ruthie, I was asked by the Powell Committee to see if they had to come in and request for their funding for the Powell at Arley. Do they have to come see you or come to council and request that?
I believe Greg handles that because he has them. I always want to speak carefully. It's either an agreement or MOA that the council does with them. And he was mentioning that to me earlier this week about having them come and do their signing off for that. And then he'll get the payments processed to them. And I believe they take a check. I don't believe it's like a ACH to their bank account or anything.
So they come in next Tuesday and get this to council?
They should just get a hold of Greg because he knows who they are. And that's what he was telling me. So, but yeah, I don't directly handle that. Her and I were looking at the GL earlier and we did see that is what is remaining sitting in the powwow's budget for both celebrations, that it has not yet been distributed, at least as of today. So.
No, bringing that in.
Is he bringing that in? That's what he just kind of mentioned it. Yeah. Okay. So that is coming, but.
Any other questions for you, Patricia?
They don't let me handle money and I'm happy about it. So I got enough to do with the paper.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Have a good afternoon.
Yep.
Tara wants to interrupt the council meeting. She wants
No
to ask
way.
you guys a quick question.
Well, I'm gonna be on, well, actually Rachel is, I already did mine this morning, but I was wondering if I could still utilize my little slot time for another one that hopefully we can get accomplished today. Not sure what time Rachel's on, but if that's possible, it's just it's a repeater for an emergency, lease. So it's simple. Okay, are we on right now? Oh, okay. So can I sneak in before she gets in?
Do it.
Okay. It's on. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. This is a revoke, or actually a business lease, a 10-year lease for the Sanders County Undersheriff in Hot Springs. They want to put a repeater on our Oliver Point Tower. This will help with some of the lack of communication that they have. And with that repeater, it helps them with the emergencies, fires, things like that. They just do a 10-year lease at $1 annually, and then at the additional 10 years after the 10 years lease is up.
Motion by Jimmy.
Question?
Go ahead, Tom.
Do they have radios, Sanders County?
I think it's smoked.
I think that's the only way they communicate, no?
Sorry, I'm going downhill.
Right, and then hopefully, that's one thing that he is trying to improve.
That's probably what it is. Got a motion by Jimmy, second by Danielle. All in favor? You're unanimous, and we have James.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just to go back to the subject I always jump on is, we might lease it to them for $1, but somehow if we know what the market value of that is, to say, we are giving you an in-kind donation of the market value of this, even though it might be $1, you need to, reflect that in that. I don't know how you reflect it. I don't know how you evaluate it, but
Well, and
it's at least $1 million.
yeah, at least, yeah.
Well, and I think it also depends on the use of it. With this use, there's no value to put to it because it is for emergencies. But yes, in future use for, definitely will bring the value to that, especially if we're asking only $1, but definitely.
Yeah, because fire halls and et cetera.
Yeah, definitely.
They say the tribes aren't doing anything.
Oh, of course.
But, wait, your fire hall gets $1 a year lease and those kind of things, so.
Yep. All right, thank you. I hear too. No.
Afternoon, Rachel.
So I'm here just to get approval on the 2025 range bids. We advertised the 4 ranges for 4 weeks. We had the bid opening to the public on June 5th. The range units that were advertised were 11, 39, 40, and 53. These are the non-allocated, which makes $23 per AUM. Each one of these range units only received the 1 bid. So on range unit 11, Evan Melton has had that range unit for quite a few years, and he was the only one that came in with a bid of $2,000. He currently is paying $1,500, so his bid did go up $500. Range unit 39, the Namchuck Retreat Ranch has had that for a few years. They did not bid this year. Namchucks were paying a little over $5,000. Doug Jackson and Shane Carr came in with a $10,309 bid. Range unit 40, Doug and Shane have that one at $18,630, and that was the bid they did again this year. Range unit 53, Richard Jackson has had that a couple years. He has it at $6,000 and bid again this year at $6,000. And so we're here asking for you to approve these bids for another 5-year term.
Questions? Motion by Tom to approve the 4 fall bids here. Second by Danielle. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Rachel.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm gonna have Greg jump in and do his resolutions really quick, and then Marie's on her way for her 2 o'clock, and then we'll be ready for the 2:30.
I think we're ready, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Today I'm here for 2 resolutions for the allocation of the funding for the Arlie Powwow and for the Standing Arrow celebration for fiscal year 2025. Each of the resolutions has the following language, allocating the funds to be distributed to the committee, that the funds should be requested with a outline of the scale of how the funds are to be used, with further explanation or request that the council expects a recapitulation, some type of financial summary at the end of the event where they come in and talk a little bit about their success and their challenges and how they allocated the money and to be financially or fiscally responsible for that allocation.
Go ahead, Len.
Has Elmo did last year's report?
They did not.
submitted?
They have not.
Have you notified them?
I have, and Tony has advised them as well as in his engagement with their engagement on the powwow. Correct.
James?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, it's kind of a irony to be, back in the day when we had to raise money for the powwows and do the bingos, I had to work the bingos and the concessions and all that to raise money for the powwow. Gone are those days of, anyway, but just an observation.
I think they still have the opportunity to raise funds beyond what's provided. I have a resolution for Arlie Powwow and a separate one. Motion by Tom for the Arlie Powwow.
A memo.
Oh.
Beautiful. Oh. 30 days up. Over. Barely.
Need a second to the Arlie resolution. Jimmy? Second by Jimmy. All in favor of the Arlie resolution? We're unanimous. Do you want to condition the resolution for Standing Arrow? Got a motion? Motion by Len to approve the resolution for Standing Arrow. Need a second. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? Okay, I got 8-4 and 1 opposed. Carol. So it still carries.
My comment for the record is that they need to do the report like they're required to in the MOU.
Cool. Oh.
Well, as I read the resolution, it says that this is conditioned by a proposed budget that they have to present and subject to the highest standards of conduct and external reviews. So it's mandated that there's a review.
That's correct. I think you might recall Arlie came in with their bookkeeper and they talked about their successes and challenges. And I think it was a good give and take in
council here.
So I would just make the assumption that the award wouldn't be made and we do the resolution, but until those documents are provided.
I'm happy to reach out and follow up. I believe that's Beverly, is it Bev or Beverly that's up in the Elmo? Is she part of the committee too?
Leonard and Loretta?
Leonard.
And Bev? I beg your pardon. The last one I didn't hear.
Well, then, Loretta. Leonard. First order.
And the resolutions basically make the money available. That's not to mean that it's delivered until the review is in place. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you all. Look forward to seeing you again later.
Good afternoon, Marie. Come on up. You have your microphone on?
There we go. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to request permission to contract with Jennifer McGlitchney Sexton for restoration work on some photographs that were located in the Nine Pipes after we had thought we completed everything, but these were located in there. So I've had 3 bids on it and Jennifer's the only one qualified to do the work. So we'd like to proceed with her.
Motion by Martin to proceed with the contract. Second by Carol. All in favor? Unanimous.
Awesome.
Cool.
Lemnich.
Thank you, Marie.
Pardon?
Okay, so we're gonna actually do REW really quick. And because we just need to try and have you guys working until 2:30 for that legal update. So he's coming in right now.
Cool.
Right after that.
Coincidentally, the auditors are just wrapping up a 1 o'clock meeting that we had together just across the hallway, just talking about their experience here. They'll be in just a few moments. be clear, this is just a recap of what REDW does for the tribes. They'll be able to present in the next couple of weeks for the full audit. So this is just a perfunctory description.
Leonard Michelle's number.
You might look older all the time. You guys look younger all the time. What's that about? No, I mean, really, yeah.
Must be the California sun. Is that what it is? The California weather? Oh, well, same thing practically.
We got it figured out? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of council. So I'm here to introduce and present Chris Batakis and Alex Mercer. They're coming to us again from REDW. They are our external auditors. They've been on site this week, and they've asked for some time to reintroduce themselves to you, answer any questions that you have. Your expectation should be that they'll be producing a final government-wide audit in the next, or government services audit in the next couple of weeks, and then the tribe-wide audit shortly thereafter. Without further ado.
Thank you, Greg. Chairman, members of council, thank you for your time. We really appreciate the vote of confidence of allowing us to continue serving the capacity of your external auditor. We really enjoy coming up here and working with your organization. We always enjoy ourselves, and your organization runs a really good clean ship from an external audit standpoint. And so, as big as these numbers are and how much you have going on, it wouldn't seem as challenging to bring it all together, and we're just really grateful for the opportunity to work with you all again, so thank you. And so what we have here today, just to go through, I don't want to bore you. It's even though it's cold in here, you'll still be able to fall asleep through these boring auditing content. Is it hot here? We're from the desert. We're from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and so it was pretty warm outside though when we landed on Monday morning. We were shocked. Yeah, that's why I put my jacket on. But yeah, real quick about REW. Over the years, we've definitely made tribes and tribal entities and anything tribal our niche. We consider ourselves a national tribal practice leader. We strategically have our offices located in our headquarters is Albuquerque, with big offices in Oklahoma City, Phoenix, Arizona, and Salem, Oregon. We have a small office in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so we are, about, I'd say close to 50% of our firm-wide revenue is serving tribal governments and tribal related entities in some kind of capacity through our various service lines of software, wealth management, human resources consulting, or the various other service lines we have. So, tribes are what we do. So we really enjoy working with tribal governments and staying at their properties and seeing and kind of allowing us to explore the U.S., to be honest. So, with that, not to necessarily give you a cheap plug by RW, but just want to make sure you kind of know our resume when it comes to the tribal arena. And so this document is just more of a, required communications document, but just wanted to focus on this one real quick. So there's actually 6 of us on site this week, and we're also engaged to do the S&K business audit for the year ended December 31st, 2023. And as Greg mentioned earlier, part of our statement of work or engagement letter with you all is to issue 2 sets of financial statements. One, which is strictly for federal government use only. It's what gets uploaded to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse and what's all the granting agencies use. So the goal of that report is show the least amount of information to the feds, but still complying with the external reporting requirements. It's very common. A lot of tribal governments do this 2-report setup to where they show the feds the least amount of information necessary. And then they have the secondary report that's usually for internal use only governance management that takes everybody under the CSKT reporting umbrella and presents one set of consolidated financial statements. So our priority this week is the single audit report because the deadline is June 30th. If that deadline is not met, the tribe then becomes late. And if you become late, you become a high-risk auditee. And the last thing you want to do is give the feds more reason to, kind of hassle you on federal awards, because we know it's a challenge out there already with what's going on in DC. So we're making the 6/30 deadline. Our goal, hopefully we can issue it before then and certify everything before the 30th. But worst case scenario will be June 30th. And, we are committed to meeting the reporting deadline. And then shortly after, like Greg mentioned, we will compile the tribe-wide set of financial statements and work with all the other entities. Not that we audit those other entities, we only audit S&K business, but we get those other audit financial statements and roll them up into one comprehensive.
Good, James.
Thank you. Actually, a sarcastic comment. Do you think the Bureau of Indian Affairs would pass an audit?
I don't think anyone in the federal government would pass an audit.
The audit that we're doing here and you're helping us with
Yeah, when it comes to federal government, no. I mean, if you look at the federal government, they they issue financial statements like the grant agencies like Homeland Security, Defense, Agriculture, whoever. And 9 out of 10 times, you'll do a Google search because they're public information. They don't even get clean opinions. A lot of them even get adverse opinions, meaning they're unauditable. So it's kind of ironic, right? That they want you to give your audited financial statements when they can't even produce a set of
I was
audited
being
financial statements.
sarcastic, but thank you for entertaining my sarcasm.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. Yeah, so with that, I just want to say there's a couple team members out at S&K Business. Myself and Alex are here with a couple other auditors as we're wrapping up our week. We will be taking off later this afternoon and then working with Greg and his team from our offices to make sure we get everything we need to dot our I's and cross our T's. And so in this audit, we will hopefully be able to come present the audit results. And not only will we have the external financial statements with you to present to you, but we also will have what's referred to as required communications document, which will summarize our audit results and have what we refer to as business advisory comments. And so we're not at this point in time, things could change from now till we issue, but we don't anticipate having any federal award findings or financial statement findings. So the report that the feds will see will show everything is in compliance with your grants and that there's no breakdown in internal controls or financial reporting. However, there's a less intense, approach when it comes to our auditing standards, where if we find areas of improvement or operation improvements or deviations from CSKT's approved policies and procedures, we have a fiduciary responsibility to report those to management as well as to council. So we'll anticipate, anywhere from 5 to 6 comments potentially of just areas of improvement. Not enough to misstate your numbers, not enough to mislead the users of your financial statements, but from an operational standpoint, just some things the organization can consider to improve when it comes to the financial accounting and reporting of the financial statements. And just wanted to kind of highlight a few things. We do give reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, meaning you all know how big your numbers are and how much you have running through the day-to-day here. So we deploy sampling, threshold testing, and we really try to focus on the higher dollar amount areas and the areas that potentially might have known deviations from policies and procedures. And we definitely make sure we beat up your federal awards because that's the whole purpose of this report. And so just as a spoiler alert, I said we had no findings so far, but that is subject to change because we are not done with all our quality control reviews or all our test work. But the 4 areas we looked at this year as relates to your federal awards is your tribal self-governance, your compact monies from the BIA, the Department of Interior, anything that's related to the ARPA Act, the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. That's the big one where you had to have everything obligated by 12/31. So we're looking at that program. Tribal self-governance, 93-210, the IHS funding agreement. That's a significant amount of funding for the tribes, as well as your Head Start program. So those are the 4 major programs we're looking at this year, and they made up roughly about 45 to 50% of your federal awards this year. And that's by design, right? We don't just pick on, various program directors or tell Greg, these are the ones we want to look at. The federal government outlines very specific criteria for us to follow and select those programs. So as of right now, we don't have any non-compliance with those federal awards. So our anticipation is it'll be no findings, but don't quote me yet till the report's final and signed and ready to submit. And so with that, we just wanted to kind of, like Greg said, just make sure you remember who your auditors are. Our contact information is always available in our website or directly from Greg. If there's any questions or concerns on the audit, we definitely want to come back out and have more detailed discussion on the results. And just really want to open it up, see if there's anything you all have, as areas of concern, or you want to make sure it gets addressed as part of the audit process.
Hey, James.
Yeah, I won't be sarcastic this time. What is your web address? Your website?
It's www.redw.com.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my question is related to what's been going on with the Trump administration and Elon Musk and the review and policing or discovering fraud and whatever. Is that resulted in any criteria changes coming from the feds?
From an external audit standpoint, other than, challenges our clients are having producing information and drawing their funds down. And so, that has been a real concern. A lot of our, clients who have late audits seem to be more affected than the ones who have on-time audits. Seems like the on-time audit filers just have more challenges with drawing down their monies and getting answers from the feds. And the ones who are late with their audits are actually getting grants terminated, having to return funds, and they're having a lot more challenges. And so that's why, our number one goal is keep as many clients on time as possible.
Any other questions for Chris or Alex? Well, thanks for coming in.
Yes,
And
thank
we'll
you,
look
Chair.
forward to the audit.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Greg in executive session.
We'll go out of regular into executive.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to raise the filing fee for the election from $150 to $200.
A motion to raise the filing fee for tribal elections from $150 to $200 by James. Do I have a second? Going once, twice. Motion fails first. Oh, got a second by Lynn. Lynn has seconded the motion to increase the fee from $150 to $200. All in favor? I got one, two in favor. All opposed? One. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lynn, I didn't get your vote one way. Against? So I got 3 against, Len, James, and
Mr.
it's
Chair,
possible.
Mr. Chair,
No,
it
that's
just
right.
takes out of order. But I will make a statement for the record and I'll prepare it and have it ready for when the minutes are adopted.
So we actually, the record the vote is 2 for and 7 against. James, for the record.
Yeah, I will make a statement. I'll put it together and have it ready. So just reserving my space.
Carol?
Yeah, I just don't want to exclude anybody from being able to afford to run. I don't have no problem paying 200 and I will.
So the votes for it was James and Tom. 7 against. Go ahead, Tom.
I think just one footnote, I think is interesting. Jimmy put together one heck of a campaign there. And so that was a person that did that without having to do the filing fee. So if he wouldn't have won, he wouldn't have been out $150. So everybody has the opportunity to run as a write-in without having to file. That's my rebuttal to why I voted for it. Anyway, there you go.
And then next piece of action is given the corrections that we've asked for to approve the rules for 2025. Motion by Martin. Second by Bing. All in favor? Anybody opposed? You're looking at me funny, Carol. Unanimous. What? Well, we're just approving the rules.
We've double checked all the page numbers, they're accurate and correct. And then if there's, the staff will continue to look at the last page to make sure that the documents that are found inside of the box are all the right documents. We're good to go.
Sounds good. Anything else? Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, just an admin note from me, Mr. Chairman, council members. So I'll be out the next 2 weeks. Lana, or designee, will be the acting managing attorney. And then I'll be back the 30th and the 1st. Then I'm out another week again, but Lana will still be acting as the same. So I'll give the council a heads up. So
Need somebody different than Aaron Rodgers. Different coach.
Got a trip report from Danielle.
Gosh, sorry, end of the day. I thought I got out of it today. No, I'm just looking. Two trips. I went with Chairman Jordan, Shane, and Martin. We went and visited Ho Chunk and met with Lance Morgan, and I thought it was really productive and I guess kind of eye-opening on some economic development opportunities that I think we can kind of learn from them, and hopefully down the road we can develop our own property management and really feed off of some of their ideas. I think Mike talked to Dan a little bit ago about the way the boards are set, a 2-1-2, and council representation on the boards and the way they do that with their corporations. But I know Jordan gave a report here to council, so I won't continue on that. And then went to Billings for MMIP, presented on behalf of CSKT. Thought that went really well. We had 2 bills pass this last year for MMIP, so it will no longer be the task force, it'll be the advisory council. They are bringing on a homicide investigator into that part at the state level. He will not actually be on the ground investigating cases, which was a little disappointing, but he'll have a place, I guess, as far as advising on how the advisory council moves forward with addressing the homicides or the murders that are lacking prosecution or investigation, and kind of where we can go, I guess, legally or with the state on how we can start to address those where we can actually get prosecution down the road, or what are those barriers that are in our way. Gosh, sorry, it's the end of the day. My mind is, ugh. Abby, I'll send you something. I'll clean it up for you before it goes in the minutes next week. But yeah, that's what I had.
Thanks, Danielle. Martin? Yeah, you were talking about having trip report. And nothing to add? The one thing I would add from the Lance Morgan trip was they really talked about the internships that they offered. They had, I think this year, was it 22 that they were paying for? They talked about paying upwards of, I think, $200,000 for internships, and they've been doing it for 25 years. And they actually have a real good handful of those folks that they help all the way through school and are now back in very major positions in their organization. They have grown their own in so many places. Carol.
What, didn't Miranda talk about money that was left over for scholarships? And how come we don't look at something like that, use that money for something like you're talking about? You know, so I think it's a good idea.
It's been quite successful and they have built good team members.
They used to have a really good program at Mission Valley Power for linemen, and of course I have a grandson. And now they've changed it so much. I don't know. I would like an update on that program and see how well it's doing with all those other individuals that they hired. But I heard it wasn't going as well as they thought it could have been, could have. But I still think we're gonna be lacking on linemen eventually, just by what we did. So but that's me.
And so that was a pretty valuable part of that. The other trip that I was on was the fly into Washington DC for the crossing the boundary. And we were well received at all of the senators that we went to see, and they were all on board, but of course they were Democratic and looking at the issue. And the issue is whether those Canadian-born tribal people can cross a boundary without having to show that they're 50% Native. That is in the immigration law. And so the outcome basically of all of our work for 2 days talking to all these people was that everybody was real happy that it looks like just a technical amendment to be made to the immigration law. And then every one of them said the Republicans won't let you touch immigration right now. And so even though they're all on board to want to have this change made, they basically all said, you got a chance in hell of having it happen. And so it was a pretty successful trip for that. And then the other part of the DC trip was for the consultation, BIA consultation, and that went fairly well. After they had already been to 7 different consultations for the very same thing, the panel was pretty glass-eyed as they were listening to us, but it went well. Be able to voice our opinion about all the things they wanted change. And well, I think the toughest thing that they want to change is NEPA and EPA requirements, and basically lessen what the requirements are. And they're basically treating tribes so poorly that the only requirement they have left for tribes, given that what they want to do is notice, not consultation, but just notice. So tried to make that point that notice is not consultation, but it was good to be able to be there and actually participate in that. So Martin.
I was in a time warp about the trip report. Last Sunday, Girls on Shred from, there's a local group out of Missoula that encourage women and girls to get into skating, did a clinic in kind of a pop-up clinic in St. Ignatius and in Pablo. Pretty well attended. I didn't go to Mission, but Pablo was pretty well attended. They're looking to do more clinics, and so they're willing to bring boards and things like that. So definitely want to encourage people to support them. The other issue I have is the maintenance around the skate parks as far as landscaping. Arlie, I think they weeded it around it a little bit, but it's still, I mean, it just looks like crap. Ronan, I was down there picking up meds this morning, same thing. You know, it's something that if we build things for our kids, for our communities, let's take care of them and not fight over who's going to take care of them. Tribal Health has their own lands, or, you know, lawn crew. These guys down here at Lands, you know, someone should take ownership of it. And, you know, we do these things and we build stuff and then we just let it go to hell. So, and the other thing, I really want to, you know, whether I do it today or not, I want to make the motion for Tribal Health to take over that building and do something with it. because the longer it sits, the more deteriorated it's going to get. It's great that we got people in there, but we're just wasting time right now. So I hope that we could make a move on that ASAP. And, you know, we don't have council next week, so that's another week we're going to lose. And so whether that be a direction from you as a chair to Joe to just get this done and get, you know, the bids out or whatever, you know, I'm fine with that. I don't think we even need a council motion. I think that's already been decided when we bought it. And if Hibbler's not going to move on it either, she's on we're an open, right? Well, I don't care. We have people who are on performance plans, you know, that better be doing what we're asking of them, or they're going to be working for Rich Hildy.
On the skate park issue, they stopped over at Hot Springs and looked. Jeff and his crew were there yesterday, and they've decided on the location there next to the school. And should work well. Yeah, Carol.
Yeah, just quickly, I told Jeff, amen. Amen. That when we get done with the other parts of the Ronan site, then that's when we'd come in and start doing the landscapes. Because there's no sense in doing landscape around one thing and then thinking you're gonna end up messing up the other sites. So once we get them all together, built, then we can go in and start the landscape.
I don't, if I may, it's not the landscaping, it's cutting weeds down. I mean, the aesthetics of looking, I mean, look at a building that's well groomed and manicured on the outside. You assume that those people inside that building know something, or at least they care. You know, look around our buildings. They look like crap. You know, we should be contracting like someone to come do our lawns and have our maintenance people follow them around and see how quickly they do an entire complex. And for the price, you know, these maintenance guys sit around in their vehicles a lot and don't do a whole lot. And so it can't be a time thing.
And, you know,
But let's end the day on something positive. So, as our little community is starting to grow and we've got the skate park now, we're super exciting. We're seeing more traffic and stuff down there in a healthy way, not a bad way. So I'm super excited about that. Housing did the Resapalooza. We had suicide prevention down there. Did a dinner and friendship bracelets, food sovereignty. You know, when they bring that food to the community, it's just so nice to see people happy, healthy, and fed. We had another young girl, I think she came out of drug court. She got together a whole bunch of donations, used the building, and gave out all kinds of clothes and different things. And the community was just so happy. Her name was Lynn Ortega. And yeah, just a huge thank you to all of these entities that are, you know, it's a slow process, but where we're getting them there, we're building community. And it's just nice to see healthy things happening around our area because it's just been beaten down so badly over the years. So I guess it's just, I keep getting inspired with all of these little good things that are going on. So I just wanted to say thank you on that. And then I also wanted to ask a question. That bus stop that's down there, it needs repainted. I want to take care of it this weekend, but I don't know, can I use the card to buy the spray paint for that and expense it to somewhere? I just don't want to spend money without approval. So, or who would I ask or?
let's find out.
Okay.
I don't know, but we can find out. That's my maintenance for sure.
No.
Just talk to Greg, he'll let you know.
Great.
Those bus shelters are-
I just-
No,
Or he'll get it.
they were transportations, of course, a grant fund. They took away all ownership after they started getting vandalized. You know, and it's on tribal land, so there's a hint of who should probably handle them.
And I guess I have one last question. Am I wasting my time if I ask to revisit the easement in Camas Prairie, Mr. Hall?
You mean
Yeah.
Mr. Hall?
What's that?
Mr. Hall?
Yeah, it's the grandson of Jim that was there. Yeah.
And the big thing is they're trying to build a house. And without this easement, they can't get funding to build this house. So, you know, we're affecting someone's life. And over what?
It's a road that's already there, been there. There was an agreement between the Holland family and the last owners that tribal members could cross their property and they were able to access their property across it. So Ben's dad already has the right to cross it. And Ben can do that if he is working for his dad on his dad's property. Why not let him cross it for his own property? I would take a motion.
Was it controversial? Motion.
It was because I made the motion.
I'll motion it.
Motion by Carol to push the easement as it was presented. Second by Danielle. All in favor? At praise value. Any opposed? Thank you. Unanimous.
Comment, sorry, we always do lands committee in the afternoon and I think I'll get a little grumpy towards the end there. We might have to move them to the morning time.
That's what the people in lands were saying about the last.
Can somebody let Lance know? Ready? We done? Motion?
Everybody vote for. Oh, you're against having the, okay. So that's 8-4 and 1 against Glenn. Shay Hoy.